right. All right. Good morning, everybody. Make sure we're up and running as usual. Oh, that is bright. Okay. Bear with me just a moment. We're going to tone this down a little bit. Because we got some brightness going on. Bear with me just a moment. Bring this exposure down just a little bit. There we go. That should look a little better. Yeah, sort of. Just when you think you got everything worked out, it goofs up on you. And, what do? You just kind of run with it. All right. And we'll click that. It's the fun part about working out of your living room. We've got big windows right here with the sun coming in, changes the lighting every day. And, you have fun with it or you worry about it. Personally, I'm going to have fun with it. So, let's kick this up and say good morning to everybody. All right, so we're going to give it our usual couple of seconds for everybody to kick on, or whoever's going to jump on. I'm hoping everybody had a great weekend. It's it was around here. It was a snowy weekend. We got a little bit of snow, not quite Minnesota snow or Canada, Alaska snow, but it's Colorado snow. Usually pretty thick and then gone in a day, if even that. So it was a pretty good weekend. Again, everybody's stuck in. I know a lot of people really wanted to get out, go do things. Unfortunately, we can't. But the nice thing is we're getting good news. In some places, terrible news in others. If I remember right, New York finally saw a declining number of new cases, which is fantastic. There's people, unfortunately, quite a few people have passed. I think we're up to 23,000 deaths, which is rough nationwide. And so just, if you know somebody who's going through this, just do what you can to comfort them. Don't get it yourself, obviously, but give them support. And hopefully, this passes sooner rather than later. Morning, Logan. All right. So this is Trevin. This is the fear special. So what we're going to be covering today is basically something I've taught. This course, or this class, I should say, is something I've taught to a lot of insurance agents, to a lot of sales professionals, because a lot of sales professionals, their biggest killer is prospecting, trying to get out, in front of people, trying to say hi, trying to just introduce themselves. And that fear can be a real killer of their career. And Jennifer, good morning to you too. So what happens is they need ways to get over fears, and we all do too. Because I imagine there's a lot of things that you'd like to go out and be able to do, and you can't because you're afraid of doing something. Maybe it's skydiving. Maybe it's just trying a new skill. Maybe it's just going and trying a pottery class or learning guitar. Fear of seeming like a noob or seeming like you're not as great as other people can keep a lot of people from going and doing new things and learning new skills. So today we're going to go over a couple of different ways to beat that, to beat fear. But before we do that, let's kind of go along with our normal thing. So Friday we went over we did 5-minute exercise. I'm actually doing great, Trevin. Thank you for asking. Had a pretty decent weekend. I've got to talk with family yesterday and catch up. It's actually other than being stuck inside the house, as most people are. Went out, did a little bit of essential shopping, restocked the refrigerator a little bit. It's kind of interesting watching or seeing how the stores have adapted to this. There's an entrance and an exit for some of the stores that have the two entrances. They've designated one as an entrance, one as an exit. You see some that have the aisleways. They have green arrows going only one way to kind of try and cut down on people passing each other and breathing at each other. The masks, not requirement, I don't think, for most states, but it's getting interesting. It's kind of, a lot of people are really hating the masks, and if it's really getting bad to you, one of the things we're going to work on today will actually help with that. But I actually don't mind so much because I grew up on the East Coast, and being out here in Colorado, even for as long as I've lived in Colorado, the dryness through certain parts of the year can really just dry out my sinuses while I'm sleeping. So I'll actually wear one of the masks while I'm sleeping. I know a lot of people who can't. That drives them up the wall, and I will admit it took me probably about 2 weeks to get used to it too. But once I got used to it, it actually made sleeping during dry times really easy, and it's nice. So moving on, let's see. Friday, last class we covered 5-minute exercise. We covered faster EFT tapping. We covered a little bit about thoughts, big, medium, and small. So today we're going to go into the fear, but as we're going to get this really started, every class we're going to do the 5-minute exercise. I hope you looked over what you wrote over last week. I know we've only done it a couple of times, but I'm hoping you kind of went back and looked and started to see what were big thoughts, what were small thoughts, what were emotions, what were triggers. So we're going to do that again today. So get out your pad and paper, and we're going to get ready, get set, and I think I've got the audio on this worked out. Let me know. I could be wrong. If you can't hear it, just say so and we'll work it out. Oops. All right. So, as always, go ahead and go back through and look at your uh, I cannot talk today apparently. Go back, as always, go back through and look at your look at what you wrote, see what you're recognizing. Are you starting to recognize some of your fears or some of your emotions? Are you starting to recognize some of your triggers? Again, right now you're not trying to understand why. You're just getting into the idea of it, into the mindset of it, into the practice of it, of getting what's in here out onto paper. So let's move on. So today's takeaways is we're basically working on figuring out why this is clicking when it's not supposed to. Okay, So today we're going to be talking about the nature of fear, what it is, how it is in your brain, two types of fear, and we're going to go over some examples of it so you understand it a little better. But the big part of this is going to be how to basically get rid of those fears, and it's super, super easy. Like I've talked about in a different class, getting rid of your fears is as easy as it was to create your fears. The only difference being is the intense emotion that fears create is something our minds really like and want to hold on to, so it seems like it's hard to get rid of fear when it's really not. All right, so let's talk about the nature of fear. Now, it is an emotion. Obviously, it's a connection between our amygdala, our hippocampus, and prefrontal cortex, which basically control our reactions and control our emotions and help create our emotions. In fact, it basically is where experiences we have that come in, we are when we experience something, we just bring it in as a I think this is trying to go from an early recording, and that's why it's playing, or why it's jumping forward. So when we experience life, the information just comes in. We just experience it. Sight, sounds, feel, tastes, smells. It's just information coming in. There's no real emotion or anything attached to it when it's coming in through our senses. But it gets processed in our minds, deep down inside, below the gray matter, below the white matter, in the amygdala, in the hippocampus, and our minds attach an emotion to the experience. Now, if it's not really much of an emotion, not really that intense of an experience, then there's really not going to be much of an attachment. It goes into memory and doesn't really pop back up very often. But if there's an intense emotion attached to it, that maybe from something we've learned in the past, something we've created, if there's an intense emotion that's attached to the experience, our minds will want to relive that over and over and over again. It loves the intense emotion, so it'll bring it up and it'll find other experiences to attach that to. And so that's why intense emotions and intense experiences, traumatic experiences, really happy experiences, that's why these are a little more in our memory than just day-to-day life. So for a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, you can actually look at this scale. You want to know, and you're going to want to kind of understand how strong the fear is, how strong the emotion is. And it can be anything from very low, no fear, nothing at all, this is your daily life, all the way up to anxiety attack, panic attack. You're hunkered down. You can't even move because of this. And there's a lot of people who understand what I'm talking about. These are where your heart's palpitating, you're sweating, your face is red. It feels like something's constricting down on your chest. And these are where the most intense method we're going to talk about today. I can speak, I promise. But the other two we're going to talk about are pretty much for anything below that, the 9 and or so and below. But before we get into that, let's understand fear in general. Now, there's two types of fear. There's the learned fear, there's the imagined fear. Learned fears fears we've learned through experience. Things like not touching a hot stove. Things you've learned, it's bad to make mom angry or dad angry because you get in trouble. Walking outside on hard rocks, without shoes on, maybe you get hurt really bad. You learn that fear of those hard rocks. Car crashes, and some some of these fears, some of these learned fears are from something somebody else went through, and it's more cautionary. I went driving on slick ice yesterday and got into a car crash. Well, hearing that, you're going to be a little more afraid of driving on slick ice. These are learned fears. You've learned them in some way, shape, or form. Imagined fears, these are the ones that you create without ever having actually experienced them. Things like, actually, let's move forward a little bit. Things like zombies, ghosts, monsters, spiders. This is a big one. Most people have never even been bitten by a spider. They've never, they've seen them crawling across the ceiling or the wall, maybe even crawling across your hand. But how many of you have actually been bitten by a spider to the point where your life was threatened, to the point where you had to be hospitalized? Something more than just a general itching that could have been taken away by some antihistamine. Okay, not very many of you, I'm guessing. In fact, I'm pretty certain not very many of you. But the thing is we've watched enough movies over the years, and we've we've imagined how bad spiders could be. Watch nature documentaries of them jumping on or catching insects. Looking at the face of a spider, most people find that kind of creepy. And we imagine terrible things. This is a huge imagined fear. Rejection, going back to what I was saying earlier about sales professionals, but this also works in our daily life. Especially when we're trying to do new things, go out, like I said earlier, trying to learn a new skill. You go into a new class, maybe a pottery class, maybe a guitar lesson. You go into that class and you're afraid of being the new person. You're afraid of being rejected. You've just walked in, you haven't met anybody yet, nobody's paying attention to you because they're busy with their own stuff. But you're imagining what that rejection is going to be like. You're imagining and creating that fear of it. That's an imagined fear of rejection. Now, there's rejection from past experiences, and we're going to get into an example of that later on when we learn about mini triggers towards the end of the class. But most of the time, our fear of rejection is completely imagined. It's completely made up. Okay. Fear of failure. This is a huge one. This is one of those what ifs. What if bad? What if bad? What if bad? Instead of thinking of what if good. Fear of failure. Well, what if I do this and I screw up? What if I do this and it doesn't work? What if I try this and I'm a failure at it? Well, you don't know that yet. So this is an imagined fear. Now, I have COVID-19 on here because this actually is learned fears and imagined fears. Now, the learned fears, we're talking about people who have someone who's sick or has been sick, or who's caught the COVID, or maybe just pneumonia that's like this. This is scary. You've learned to be afraid of it. You've learned to give it respect because of experiences you've gone through. Imagined fears, now this is where you get into the people who are, sorry to roll my eyes at this, but it's kind of out there, or kind of making my brain cramp a little bit. The people who are supposedly protesting 5G or burning 5G cell phone towers, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's something I've heard and read. People are burning 5G towers because they think it causes coronavirus, and obviously it really doesn't. 5G is just a different type of digital signal, whereas coronavirus or COVID is an organic virus. But the fears they've created in their minds are totally imagined fears. Being afraid of 5G because they've connected it, they've imagined and created the connection to coronavirus, it's a completely imagined fear. Don't get me started on the rest of it. The psychology of conspiracy theories is fun and interesting, but not something we really want to get into for this one. Maybe we'll make that a class later on down the line. But like I said earlier, fear is easy come, easy go. And the reason for that is in our mind, a good way to think of our mind, and it's a popular image, and I actually really like it, but a good way to think of the way our mind works is think of yourself sitting in a room, sitting on a couch in a room, and you've got a TV going on in front of you. Okay, now you don't know if what's coming in through the TV is real or not. Okay, your brain doesn't, that's how your brain works. Your brain cannot tell the difference between an experience, what it's experiencing right now, whether it's new information coming in from memory, from something you're remembering from a long time ago, or something you're actually creating. It just knows this is the information coming in at it from the TV. Has no clue whether it's a live feed or a rerun. And this is actually kind of how a lot of therapies work to make or break associations, because you can use this to help retrain your own mind. In fact, that's kind of what we're doing with the 4 steps of mindfulness. We are breaking old associations, creating new ones, and or enhancing new healthy ones by using this principle. But because of that, because your mind doesn't know what the difference is, you can make and break them easy. Or this is why it's easy to make or break them, I should say. It doesn't know what's going on. Just like you sitting there watching the TV, no clue. So the next thing that comes on TV, I mean, you could have been watching a documentary and see that as the truth. But the next thing that comes in is a wholly made-up TV show. You see that as the truth. That's the person in your mind, or your mind sees that as the truth. An old rerun sees it as the truth. So this is what we're going to do today to help get rid of fears. All right. So let's get into some of the techniques. So these 3 techniques, you might actually recognize the faster EFT tapping from last Friday, but we're also going to get into some visualizations. We're going to get into the phobia cure. We're going to cover the entire range of fears. Now, there are a lot of different techniques out there. These 3 are my favorite because I've had a lot of success with them, not only for me, but for a lot of my hypnotherapy clients, a lot of just people I've talked to. These work fantastically. So let's move forward into these. So self-hypnosis and visualization. Okay, so let's make sure this is going to work the way I want it to. Good. All right. So as you're going along, we all deal with a lot of stresses in our mind. We deal with basically things that just create stress. We deal with work, pain, fear of death, or just death in general, headaches, frustration, angers, money, things that go on in the home or with the home. And these build up like sludge or slime in our system. And that's a good way to think of it. Think of all that frustration. Think of all that pain, worry, stress, fear as sludge, as sewage filling up your mind or filling up your body. And so what you can do is imagine a cork in the bottom of each foot plugging up a hole. And you can pop those corks out and imagine all that sludge, all that sewage, that pain, worries, fears, tensions just draining out of your mind, out of your body, like that sludge just draining out of your body, pouring out through the bottoms of your feet into the ground. And just to have this visualization, just pouring out, emptying out. Now, another good thing you can do with this is, if you imagine that once you've got all the sludge out, imagine a nozzle at the top of your head, pouring in clean water, clean feeling, clean energy, whatever you want it to be. Power washing down the inside of you, hosing down the inside of you, and just getting any last little sticky bits of sludge that like to hang out and just washing you clean, flushing everything clean. And so from there, what you can do is pop those corks back in, start to fill up with that clean feeling, with that clean energy, clean water, whatever you want it to be. And keep filling up and filling up and filling up until you feel like you're going to burst from it. And then imagine that feeling bursting out of your skin and filling up the room you're in. Now imagine it getting brighter and brighter and filling up your whole house and brighter. Filling up your block, brighter. Filling up your city, the state, the country, making this feeling so big it fills up the world, and make it brighter and brighter and brighter so that somebody has to have sunglasses to look at you. And the more you do this one, the more you can get rid of your daily stress, your daily problems. I've had people who've had a lot of success with this. In fact, I've had massage clients over the years who have a really hard time of letting go of stress. I work on them, get their muscles to relax a little bit, and then they tense right back up again. These are people who don't know how to let go of that stressful situation. And so what they do is they just keep on piling sludge on top of sludge on top of sludge. So I'll run them through this visualization, and by the time we get to the point where they're making it the clean feeling brighter and brighter, their muscles have relaxed, they've loosened up, and they pretty much pass out. In fact, if you're trying to quit smoking, this is also one of my favorites, because a lot of people who are smoking, they're doing it as a stress relief. They haven't learned a better stress coping skills, so they go to the smoking. Quitting smoking on the chemical level is super easy. The nicotine clears out of your system in a few days. Just have to worry about the sugar the corn syrup, or the crystallized sugar, I should say, that's in the cigarettes. That's a whole thing we'll get into. But a lot of people who smoke because of stress, once they learn this technique, they put down the cigarettes and never touch them again. It's really one of my favorites for low level stress. But the thing is this is for low level stress. It's for just above worry. If you've got something you kind of want to get rid of that you're really not all that anxious about, you can use this, and the more often you do it, the more it works. In fact, all of these, the more often you do it, the better it works, because you're training that skill into your brain. A lot of people, for this popping of the corks, I actually recommend just before bed, because it's a good way to get rid of the stress of the day, and it lets them have a better night's sleep. All right? So faster EFT tapping, I'm not going to get too much into this because we've pretty much covered it last week, but I do want to give you some insights. And to do that, I'm actually going to show you another video, but this one covers the mid-range, from things that are just kind of bothering you to just almost that 10, almost that anxiety, or that panic attack. So really quick, let's make sure this works. And I want you guys to meet Austin. Hi, and welcome to this demonstration of faster EFT tapping. With me today is Austin, who's got a couple of things he wants to let go of. Now remember, faster EFT tapping is for that range of 2 or 3 to about 7 or 8. Not so little that you can just kind of let it go anyway, but not so much that it's giving you the anxiety like we talked about on the fear scale just a few slides ago, or just a few minutes ago. So Austin, what is something you'd like to kind of let go? Now, Austin, I should mention really quick, Austin has a private practice that he's trying to build and trying to work with. And unfortunately, there's some hang-ups with that. What would be those hang-ups?
So the big hang-up for me is sometimes I worry I'm not clever enough when I start meeting new people, and I don't make a very good first impression because I tend to be kind of quiet. So I guess kind of like that insecurity about meeting somebody new and making a good first impression.
All right.
Is kind of something I'm struggling with right now.
So it's what would you say it's insecurities. What would you say the fear of it? The fear is just a fear of rejection, a fear of just saying hi. What would you say the fear is?
I think rejection, just that I'm not what they're looking for, and therapy.
Okay.
Um,
So as you can see, Austin's got the same fear that a lot of people have, the fear of rejection. We talked about it a little bit earlier, and we're going to talk about it some more. But now we're going to go through the faster EFT tapping, which will help you to let go of that insecurity and let go of that fear. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you're not, no worries about it at all, 10 being, oh my God, it's giving me a heart attack, where would you say that fear of insecurity or that fear of rejection is?
Probably around a 5.
Around a 5?
I think that what I do in those situations is just be really quiet because
Mm-hmm.
they can't reject me if I don't really show up,
Sound familiar? All right. So now the nice thing is this is something a lot of people have. The fear of rejection, as we talked about earlier in some of the earlier slides, the fear of rejection is just the same as physical pain. Your brain sees it the same way and really doesn't want to experience it again, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a quick demonstration of the faster EFT tapping, and I'm going to explain it. Okay? Are you ready for this?
Sure.
All right. So what we're going to do is you're going to take one or both fingers of one of your hands. Doesn't matter which. You can use either hand. And what you're going to do is we're going to start through. I'll go through the points, and then have you demonstrate it. All right. As you may have seen on the diagram a minute ago, what we're going to start out with is the third eye, or that place right in between your eyebrows, but a little bit up. Some people can actually feel a hollow right in there. The next point is right across, or right at the corner of the eye, coming around, and the bone, if you can feel the bone there, you feel that ridge of the bone, that's going to be your point 2. The third point is going to be right underneath your eye, right on the bony prominence. So right down, it's a little hard to see since I'm tilted, but right down here and right underneath. That's going to be your third point. The next point is going to be right where your collarbone or your clavicle comes together, and you've got your breastbone or your sternum that comes straight down. So it's kind of a cross between a Y and a T. So right underneath your collarbone, on either side of your collarbone, or on either side of your breastbone, is 2 little notches. So on either side of your collarbone, with these 2 fingers, right on either side of your collarbone, right underneath your clavicle, and you'll see this on the diagram. That's going to be our next point. So those are going to be our tapping points. Then once we're done with the tapping points, what we'll do is we'll take one hand, doesn't matter which, but we're going to grab the other wrist, just gently wrap around, and you're going to take a deep breath in. And as you're breathing out, think of a peaceful thought. Think of something that brings you a feeling of serenity. And as you do, say the word peace. All right? So here's how it's going to work. We're going to start out the third eye. We're going to tap just 8 to 10 times. Doesn't matter, and it's very light. You don't have to feel like you have to drum it in, but very light, right in here on the third eye. Just 8 to 10 taps. Thinking to yourself, let it go. Let it go. Then to the side, on the side of the eye, let it go. Let it go. Underneath the eye, let it go. Let it go. And then underneath the collarbone, on either side of the breastbone, this is 2 fingers, remember, just tap, let it go, let it go, let it go. Then make that connection between the 2 hands. And this actually connects the 2 sides of your brain as well, so that kind of helps to ground, center, and make this, basically implant the change. So we make that connection, take a deep breath in, and peace. Excellent. All right. So you said it was at about a 5, right? All right.
Yeah.
So this is hugely important while you're doing the faster EFT tapping. You're tracking your progress, and it's hugely important that you track your progress so you know when to stop. Because one of the things a lot of people don't know with faster EFT tapping is that they think they have to do it just once and it fixes everything. But it doesn't work that way. What you're going to do is keep going over and over and over again until you feel comfortable doing it. So, you said you were at about a 5?
Yeah.
All right. So, thinking about the fear, the anxiety that you want to let go, let's start. So, just gently tap third eye 8 to 10 times. Let it go. I can let it go. I can let it go. And then come down to the corner. I can let it go, let it go, let it go. Underneath the eye, let it go, let it go, let it go. And then the collarbone, let it go, let it go, let it go. And then make that connection. Deep breath in. And peace. All right, now here's why that scale is so important. On that scale, where do you see yourself now?
Probably, I feel more relaxed, but still a little anxious. So
Okay.
probably maybe
Give
a
me
4.
A 4?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So, and this is his first time doing it, so he's kind of working with the novelty, just like you are. So let's do this again. And what I'd like you to do is do the same thing, because as we've been talking, you've been thinking about something that you'd like to work on, something you'd like to let go. So I'd like you to do it as well. So let's do it again. So thinking about that same fear, that same insecurity, let's start again. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. To the side. I can let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Underneath. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And the collarbone. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And you can almost feel that deep in your chest, can't you?
Yeah.
The more you tap, it almost is like a drum beating in your chest. And you don't have to tap hard to do it. And then make the connection. Breathe, deep breath in. And peace. Excellent. And on that scale now, where do you see yourself?
Probably 3.5 maybe.
All right. So we do it again. Don't be afraid to do this as many times as you need to. Just keep on going until you hit 0. And that's what we're aiming for. So let's do it again. Let it go. And you can feel it sliding out of you. You can add a little bit of visualization if you want, but just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. To the side. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Underneath. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And collarbone. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And create that connection. And peace. So where do you see yourself now?
Probably like a 2. I think it gets better every time, but it's hard to just let it go, you know.
Okay,
like,
why?
I think I'm like tensing up a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if that's affecting it or
Why
not.
tensing up?
I'm not sure.
And this is something you're going to face as well. There's things you're ready to let go, things you're not. And if you're kind of a little trepidatious about it, maybe there's a reason. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the meta model. But for right now, just keep going until you feel you're ready to let it go. So just keep on going over and over and over. So let's do it again. Go ahead. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
And to the side.
Let it go.
Let your arm relax. There you go. Be comfortable when you're doing this.
Let it go.
This is an easy motion. This is easy movements under the eye. You're not fighting with this. You're not wrestling with it. Just easy, easy motions. Collarbone. Let your shoulders drop as you're doing this. Feel your breathing be easy and relax as you're doing this. And when you're ready, create that connection. And peace. Now where do you feel on that scale?
Probably down to a 1.
So you notice how it became a little easier when you started relaxing your body,
Yeah. There's a big difference when I was relaxed as opposed to
fighting it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that a lot of people face when they're trying this. They're especially their first time trying it, when they're just learning it, is this tendency to want to do it right. What if I do it wrong? What if I hit the wrong points? And as long as you're in the general area, it's going to work. There's no worries about that. You're going to be fine. It doesn't have to be right on the centimeter, millimeter dot. In the general area is good. I mean, not this kind of general area, but right in here, you're going to hit the right spots. But be relaxed. Be ready to let it go. Let it drain out. Let it go from your body. So let's try it one more time. Go for it. Relax your body. Go ahead and say it. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
And you notice it gets easier and easier every time you do it.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Peace.
So where do you see yourself now on that scale?
Right now I'm probably like a 0.5.
One more time. Go for it. Remember to relax. Notice we're doing it as many times as possible to reach that 0.
Let it go. 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 Let it go.
So where do you see yourself now?
I feel a lot more at peace, yeah.
Give it a number. It's always important, give it a number. You need that progress. Otherwise your mind goes, well, it's in this kind of vague area. But give it a number and you give it a definite progress report. You give your mind a progress report, you give yourself a progress report, and you know how much further you either need to go or if you've hit your target. So where are you at now?
Probably about 0.25. I'm getting there, but I still have a little bit of anxiety.
Okay. So this is where he just keep on going and going and going. And we're not going to keep on going. You're very close. And I'd say once we stop the video, do it a few more times. Again, for the sake of your time, I don't want to keep on going and going and going just because your time is important and I want to honor that. But this is something that you can do all throughout the day. In fact, the founder of Faster EFT Tapping likes to tell a story of one of his friends who, rather than doing the full-out tapping, likes to do the wipe, where he'll just make these connections and he creates that change just by doing the wipe. But what he's done is he's hit all those points, and he's done this many, many times. And the more times you do it, the more effective it becomes. It's practice. It's a skill. You learn it, and you get good at it. So I hope this has helped. We're going to move on to the next section right now. Austin, I want to thank you for being a willing victim. I should note that when Austin sat down to do this video, I asked him something he'd like to let go, but I didn't tell him anything about the process. I wanted him to learn right with you. So thank you for watching this, and we're going to move on to the next section. All right, so I hope that kind of helped you with some of the small fears and some of the small issues you might be having. This really does work for anything from major frustrations to just trying to ease off on something that's giving you a little bit of anxiety. And the more, like I said, the more you do it, the more or the better it works. Again, those points just one last time, right in the center of your head, corner of your eye, underneath your eye, collarbone, deep breath in, and peace. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is the NLP phobia cure. I learned this when I was learning neuro-linguistic programming. I have found it to be super, I can't even tell you how effective this is. There was one lady who had I was cleaning out a garage, and she came in, and we got to talking about her fear of spiders. Just the idea that she might be in a place with spiders where there could possibly a spider be, or could possibly have a spider in it. would actually give her the shakes a little bit. That's how much. She'd never been bitten by a spider. She'd never, been damaged by a spider, hurt by a spider in any way, shape, or form. This was all imagined fears, but it had built up over the years so that it was so bad that she could barely function. And 2 days later, she was supposed to go camping with her mother and her husband. And she got to talking to me about how bad it was. I ran her through this, and she came back about a week later, said they'd gone camping. She was sitting on a log, looked down. There was a spider just walking across the log off. It startled her, but she didn't run screaming. That's how effective this is. So we're going to move forward with this, and I'd like you guys to meet Allie.
Hi, and welcome to the NLP Cure video demonstration. I have with me today Allie, and Allie has a phobia that she'd like to get rid of. Now, the fear that Allie's got today is the one that takes you all the way to a 10. Now, these are phobias that freeze you up, the ones that make your heart race, that make you sweat, make your face red, the ones where you actually almost have to be broken out of it by somebody else coming up to you and saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Now, a lot of people go through this in a lot of different ways, but when it comes to facing a new client or prospecting or just trying to get your name out there in general, most people are very close to this. So we're actually going to go through with Allie and her phobia, and you're going to get to see the process. Now, Allie's learning this the same way you are and at the same pace, so you can see the learning process as you go along with it. So really quick, what I'd like you to do is think of a phobia you'd like to get rid of. And Allie, what phobia do you have that you'd like to get rid of?
I have an arachnophobia.
Now, fear of spiders.
Yes.
All right, how bad is it?
It's pretty bad. I prefer not to deal with it, but if I can get someone else to do with it, I will definitely jump on that.
Make your heart race a little bit?
Yes.
All right. So thinking about if a little spider came up and crawled right up on the top of
Oh, no.
that kind of reaction. If you're having this kind of reaction to prospecting or to just walking up to somebody and saying, hi, my name is, and I would like to interest you in, or can I interest you in or sell you this is kind of what you're facing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this. Like I said, you're going to learn this at the same time you are, or more accurately, you're going to learn this at the same time you are. So right now, think of a phobia you've got. So as you're thinking of that phobia, that fear of spiders, all right, now you're going to feel some sensations, or actually a sensation, because our mind likes to keep emotions strong. And so what it'll do is it'll put it somewhere in the body. So thinking about that fear of spiders, where is it in your body?
It's like kind of on my arms.
All right.
Like I feel little things.
Well, that's a reaction, but the core feeling of it, where is that?
Oh, it's like right here.
Right there in the pit of your stomach?
Yeah.
That's a common area. The other place I get is chest. Those are the two main areas. Though every once in a while I get something like in the head or the hips, and those are a little different, but most of the time these are the two common areas. All right. The other thing the mind likes to do is keep these emotions busy or moving or spinning, vibrating in some way, shape, or form. So thinking about the spiders and that feeling down in here, which way is it moving? How is it moving?
It kind of feels like it's like going like this and kind of gradually coming up my body.
All right. So what we're going to do is...
It's kind of weird to think about that.
Weird how?
Because I've never thought about it. Like, where is that feeling like going, and what does it look like?
So it's just kind of an odd sensation to actually put some physicality to it?
Correct.
Yeah. All right. So thinking about the way it's moving, all right, and the way it's moving in your body. What we're going to do in just a moment is I'm going to count from 3 to 1. And what I'd like you to do is take that feeling out of your body, just a little bit out of your body. It doesn't have to be out to here, but just a little bit out of your body. And you're going to reverse it and then put it back in. Can you think of that? All right.
Okay.
So, and the way this is, we're going to have you do the same thing. But what's going to happen, the way it's going to happen, I should say, is it's going to happen quick. It's not going to be, okay, we're going to pull it out, we're going to turn it back, or reverse it, we're going to put it back in. It's going to be quick. It's going to be out, reverse, in. All right? Ready to try?
Yes.
All right. So let's have you do the same thing. Take a deep breath in and breathe out and in, out, and in. Thinking about that feeling. Breathe out and in one more time. And as we breathe out, 3, 2, 1, out, reverse, in. Now, how does that feel?
Feels better.
Mm-hmm. Thinking about that feeling, is it still moving the old way, or is it moving the new way?
It's moving a new way.
All right. Now, I should stop and say that if you've just done this and it's still moving the old way, that's fine. Just take another deep breath. 3, 2, 1, out, reverse, in. And do it as many times as you need to get it moving the other direction. So do you feel like it's moving well in the new direction?
Yes.
All right. I'm moving back and forth like the old direction. I don't know how you moved it, but all right. So if you feel like it's moving well in that new direction, what I'd like you to do is make that new direction bigger. If you feel like that emotion was spinning, spin it in the new direction faster. How do you feel? Or how's the emotion moving in your body now?
It's kind of going in a different, it's kind of going parallel now. Or perpendicular.
Perpendicular?
Perpendicular, yes.
Right, that's opposite. That's right angles. All right.
Yes.
So make it move faster and bigger in that new direction.
Okay.
If it was spinning in one way and now you got it spinning the other way, spin it faster. If it was vibrating in one way, you've got it vibrating another, make it vibrate faster. Also, imagine it bigger. Imagine that faster and bigger. Concentrate on that new feeling right now and make it faster and bigger. Make that movement even faster.
Okay.
Even faster. Make it bigger. Make that feeling bigger. And faster and faster and bigger and bigger. And what you're doing is you're intensifying the new connection. The bigger you can make it, the faster you can make it, the more you can make it move in this new direction, the more it's going to seep into your mind and the phobias. Mm-hmm. So now imagining a little spider crawling up. How do you feel?
I'd probably have you flick it off first.
Mm-hmm. So do you
But,
feel like it's a
yeah.
debilitating fear anymore?
No. I feel like I could take a second and be like, it's a spider, chill out.
So he's gone from fear, from scary to just kind of icky?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Same thing. You're going to feel that change. And again, look at it. Is it still scary? Do it again. Is it just icky? Now you're no longer afraid, but now you're actually to the point of the phobia is gone and you can concentrate on moving forward. So Allie, thank you again for helping out with this. Hope you enjoy not being afraid of spiders anymore.
I will.
Moving forward. And thank you. And now we're going to move on to the next section.
All right. So you can kind of see how her feelings or how the emotion in her body moved one way or the other, and our minds really like to do that. It really like to create a sensation. It's part of what helps to keep. It's part of what helps to keep our emotions intense and to keep them strong in our subconscious mind. The body will attach an emotional feeling to them, and I'm sure you've had this depression. If you've ever had super bad depression, almost feels like something's weighing you down, like it's actually hard to move. If you've been super excited about something, and I'm not talking about a caffeine high, I mean really excited to do something, your heart races, you can feel a little jittery. That's your mind attaching a physical feeling to the emotion. Fear, constricting chest, feeling in the pit of your gut. Those are common sayings because that's where a lot of people feel those fears, is in their gut, or a constriction of the chest, or a feeling in their chest. And you can use that feeling to break the old connection, create a new one. Now, the reason it's good to have these exercises handy and know these exercises is because we have a lot of triggers for one fear, a lot of different ways to react, a lot of different ways that cause this emotion. Like I was going to talk about rejection a little earlier on. We're coming back to that now. All of these are that feeling of fear of rejection. They're learned, they're imagined, but all of these different triggers that you see on the screen all lead back to that same feeling. So something, a fear, I know we keep going on fear of spiders, but it really works. So a learned fear, where maybe you and I'm sorry for putting this image in your mind, but maybe you stumbled on a nest of little spiderlings that pop up. Don't worry, you can get rid of that. It didn't happen. That's a learned fear that triggers the fear of spiders. You see a monster movie with a giant spider, the movie Arachnophobia. That's a learned fear, or an imagined fear, that triggers a fear of spiders. So you're going to go through where this one fear might be triggered by other things, so you can have these handy, have the EFT tapping and the NLP handy to get rid of the fear when it happens, rather than trying to cope with it in a worse way by having the fear, by suffering through the fear. So the more, I know I keep saying this, but I can't say it often enough. The more often you do this, the better it works, because your brain becomes practiced at it, and eventually it gets to the point where as soon as you recognize a fear is happening, as soon as you recognize a trigger is going off, your brain will actually get trained to the point where it just automatically short circuits it. So practice these, practice. All right. Just want to touch one more time on using the right technique for the level of fear. Visualizations and the faster EFT tapping can work for the lower levels. Then the faster EFT tapping works for most of the mid-range, and the NLP phobia cure is just there for the phobias, for the heart attack, oh my God, anxiety attacks. Okay. So the more of these techniques you learn, and like I said, there's a ton of techniques. These three are just my favorite. The more of these you learn, the more you're going to find your brain happier and feeling better, and you're just going to end up having a nicer life. So that's pretty much all I've got. I know I've gone over time just a little bit. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Want to see if anybody's got any questions really quick, anything you want me to go back over and re-explain. As always, go to the website, 5menmindful.com. Throw up your questions there. Anything about COVID, anything about coping with what's going on nowadays, or anything about mindfulness you'd like me to answer. We can keep on going over those questions as often as you need to, so that I want you guys to understand this. And remember, because your question, you are not the only person that's going to have that question. There's going to be a ton of other people that have that question. They're just afraid of asking. All right? Overcome your fear. Ask the question, because I want you guys to have this information. I want you to be happier. I want you to be healthier. I want you to be able to cope with the things life throws at you in a healthy way. All right? So I don't think we're actually going to have any more questions, because usually by this point people have popped up or not. Tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, we're going to work on something else tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to work on a little bit more on connections, though don't quote me on that. There's a few other things I kind of want to go back over and cover. We'll see how it goes. So tomorrow's going to be a bit of a surprise. All right? So with that said, everybody have a great day. I know we're still all under quarantine and isolation and trapped, but find things you can do around the house. Connect with people via Skype, via Zoom, FaceTime. just a simple phone call. If you can't see them face to face, just reach out and connect to somebody. Find something as simple as playing with your pet. All right? Say hi to Sneezer. I know she's not really happy at the moment, so we're going to put her down. But find a way to lift your spirits in any way you can. All right? So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Stay happy.